Hi students. In this video, we're going to talk about the elements and their symbols. So here in front of us is a pixelated picture of copper. We know that copper has several uses. Old copper wiring for circuits and electricity flow. We also use coppers for pipes to bring water into a home. And again, we can't see at a microscopic level the copper atoms. So typically we would write out a few letters to represent a copper atom in a formula when we're writing out chemical reactions. And that's what this video is about. What are the elemental symbols and how do we figure them out? So before we even get started, go ahead and grab a periodic table. That's the first thing you should do. And once you get a hold of a periodic table, go and look at the first column. Okay, so you're going to go down that first column and you're going to see this. So if you look at the first symbol, it's a capital H, and that stands for the atom hydrogen. And I know probably everybody knows that. And then you go down one more period, it's called, but really you're going down a row, and your periodic table might even have the number 2 next to it because it's the second row in that first column. We call that a period, and we see Li, and that elemental symbol stands for the element lithium. Then we go down to the third period, and we see Na, and that's sodium. So you might be saying, well, what's going on? Then we go to K, and it's potassium. What's happening? That doesn't make sense. Rb, rubidium. Then we see cesium and francium. So we're going to explain why there aren't always clear-cut consistencies with our symbols in this video. So where do we get the symbols? Well, the elements, right, their names were derived from planets, mythological figures, minerals, colors, scientists, and places. So here are a few examples. Uranium, after the planet Uranus. Titanium for the Titans in mythology, right? Iodine to Ioides, which means violet in Greek. Californium for California. Curium for Madame Curie. And we can see that, you know, there's a wide variety of where we get these elemental names. But now let's talk about the symbols that represent these names. So symbol is just a representation of the element. Okay, it's the easiest way to show that we're discussing this element. It's a symbol. So typically it consists of 1 or 2 letters, and it starts always with one capital letter. So it can have 2 letters, and with 2 letter symbols, what you tend to notice is that the second letter will be lowercase. So here are a couple of examples. We have carbon, which is capital C, because that's the first letter in carbon. And then we get to cobalt. Now with cobalt, C has already been used. So we have to make this symbol different. So we use the first letter, which is C, and that's a capital in the elemental symbol. And then we go to the second letter, O in cobalt, and that's a lowercase, just like you would see in the case of calcium, right? So calcium is Ca. So let's take a look at a few others. Nitrogen, capital N. Fluorine, capital F. Notice with fluorine, the correct spelling, which is counterintuitive, is U before O. You would think it's O before U because that's much more common in spelling, but spelling's important too, so we want to note that. We look at oxygen, O. Here's calcium. I wrote it before I even realized it was the next one, but that's okay. We have aluminum and we have magnesium. Now, if you look at magnesium, what's interesting is that the second letter, the lowercase letter, is not the second letter in the name, but rather the third. So in some 2-letter symbols, you'll notice that the second letter in the symbol is not the second letter in the name. So an example of that I had earlier, cesium, which is in that first group, the column going down, in the 6th row, the 6th period across, the CS, cesium. So why did we have such weird symbols like Na for sodium? You would think it would just be S, but you have to realize the English language isn't the first language. I mean, a lot of the names and symbols are derived from previous languages like Latin, Greek, Arabic. So we have to be aware that some of the symbols aren't consistent with the current use of English language. So I said earlier, copper, which is very common, and gold. Well, copper, Cu. It's not Co like cobalt. That was cobalt, right? So why is it Cu? Because it's derived from the Latin name. Or gold for arum. Now, this is hard to see, but if you ever played in a sandbox with your kids and had a magnet, a lot of times you get these little black filings on the magnet. I remember that when my kids played Thomas Train. Those little black filings were iron. And why is iron Fe and not I? Well, because it's derived from ferrum. Silver, argentinum, right? Argentina, the country, is named after that because it was believed that there was a giant mountain of silver there. So these are basically how the names and the symbols are derived for a lot of the elements we'll be discussing. And I hope it makes sense. I hope it was straightforward. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. And thanks for tuning in.